Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. My name is Paul Ditchburn, and this is your Breakfast Tyne news. It's Newcastle United against Arsenal at the weekend, and the build-up is well and truly on. Eddie has, of course, been talking to the media ahead of the game, and a few little news stories have crept in throughout the morning regarding Tim Krul on what he had to say about Newcastle United and a possible return in the future. Now he's retired. And Elliot Anderson, obviously catching the eye of a lot of teams at the minute, and Newcastle United apparently are one of them. I don't know what to make into that, to be honest. I really don't know. Obviously, we had to sell him due to PSR, but we know there's no buyback clause, anything like that in the previous deal. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Newcastle United to try and get Anderson back, although I have no doubt that he would love to come back at some point in his career. But we'll take a look at that a bit later on. If you do enjoy the show, as usual, guys, hit the like button and do subscribe. If you are new to the channel, lots coming up, of course. We've got the match preview tonight for the Arsenal game at 7 o'clock. We've got Match Day Live on Sunday, which is, of course, full commentary of the Arsenal game, followed by various reactions on YouTube and, of course, Patreon. And we do have some prizes for our members tonight. So if you are a member, make sure you tune in from 7 o'clock tonight. You will have the chance to enter and win some prizes. James Kirby has just become a new member of the channel. Thank you, James. Welcome to Members Club. And of course, please do hit that membership button. It's just below myself, and you can super chat the channel. That's the $ at the bottom of the live comments, which will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show as a thank you for sending in a super chat. Right, we'll take a look at what Eddie's had to say this morning as well. Seemed in very, very good spirits, and why not? We've just come off the back of a very good week. You know, good draw at Bournemouth, a fantastic performance during the week, thumping Bradford 4-1. And obviously now all the attention turns to Arsenal, and you know the old rivalry, I guess. I mean, we don't necessarily have a direct rivalry with Arsenal, but there's been a lot of incidents in the games against Arsenal over in the past, hasn't there? And it's caused a lot of media outcry from Arsenal fans for certain decisions that have happened in the game. You know, we've heard Arteta make really ridiculous back and forwards comments on certain things. You know, the ball, the shape of the ball, etc. It's all led up to a little bit of a tasty rivalry, and Eddie certainly didn't sort of fan that down. It was great, his reply saying that, you know, we go into this game knowing that there's always spice between the two sides because they both want to win the game. And of course, we are at our best, said Eddie, when we play that kind of physical, really up for it kind of game. That's when Newcastle United are at their very, very best. So I expect Newcastle United to play a very similar way on Sunday. Go out there and really rough Arsenal up, which I guess is our best option. Arsenal don't like that. We've seen that many, many times where they don't like being roughed up. They think they're above that for some strange, crazy reason, I guess. And they always complain about it. You know, Newcastle can only play one. The dark arts. Remember the dark arts, which, by the way, Mikel Arteta has taken on board since all those comments were made about the dark arts. Arsenal are very, very good at the dark arts these days. So maybe he took a lesson out of Eddie Howe's book about how to hang on to win games. So I guess the dark arts comments he can't really make anymore because he'll look a fool or a bigger one than he has done in the past anyway. Eddie said it's always been a competitive game against Arsenal, and there's been an edge to those games as both teams want to win. The more competitive we are, the better we play. We need to bring that to the game on Sunday. So exactly as I just said there, he knows how important it is to be at that level, to be at that competitive edge, so that we perform to our very best. And we've all seen it. We know how well we play when we perform like that, and there's an edge to our game. The fans love it. We get right behind the team, right behind you know, the club, the manager, and the energy in the stadium is always fantastic when we are playing like that. And it's very important for me that on Sunday that atmosphere keeps going, because I guess midweek we saw it, you know, it dulled down a bit once the game was won, and it wasn't, you know, the excitement was taken away, I guess, by the fact that we won the game so comfortably. But I really get annoyed at St James's Park when it does go quiet. You know, we start off very rapturous. There's a lot of noise in the stadium. It's brilliant to be around and inside and join in with all that atmosphere. But we need to keep it going Sunday. We need to have that atmosphere there, the red hot atmosphere from the very, very start, and not give Arsenal anything in the game. Go at them from the word go and make sure that we are on top of them, both playing wise and supporting wise. We've got to keep that atmosphere up and make sure that we make life hell for Arsenal, which I think we will do. Now, team news ahead of the game was very interesting because he mentioned Jacob Murphy in this, and Jacob Murphy's been struggling with an Achilles problem for a while now. He said it's not enough to keep him out. They are managing it. Of course, he was left out of the squad altogether against Bradford on Wednesday night. He says we've got a couple of players to check today. He didn't say who. He just said there's a couple of players who maybe have picked up little knocks here and there. Certainly nothing serious. He doesn't seem to think that anybody is going to be ruled out of the game on Sunday, apart from the usual injuries like Jacob Ramsey, etc., who are slightly longer term, of course, and Wissa. He says we've got a couple of players to check today. No major injuries from the game. Jacob Murphy is doing okay. It is an issue we are managing. He is fit and available, but some days he has been sore, so we're just trying to manage his load. And again, I think this is something that we've seen, you know, sort of come in since Bunce arrived, etc. That you know, the risk on players, we're not taking them anymore. We're managing the players better with injuries, and again, that seems to be the case with Jacob Murphy. If anyone sees Jacob Murphy play, we all know that there's no chance in hell he wants to miss football matches. So he's going to make himself available, even if he is a bit sore. And certainly from what we've seen of Jacob Murphy so far this season, he's been pretty damn good. He's picking up assists again, and to be honest, I actually think that we kind of are a better side at the minute with Jacob Murphy in it. And Elanga, for me, Eddie was asked about Elanga this morning and said he's been very pleased with Elanga, despite the fact he hasn't got a goal or an assist yet. Did make some good points about Elanga, saying that he should have had assists because he's put some really good balls into the box which deserve to finish. And that's not necessarily Anthony Elanga's fault that nobody has been able to finish those quality balls that he's put into the area. So he's got a good point there, that maybe Elanga would have been off the mark with assists, etc., had we put the ball in the back of the net for him. You look at Gordon's opportunity against Barcelona. That should have been in the back of the net. It was a wonderful ball in from Elanga. So, look, at the same time, we've just got to be patient with Elanga, but we know that Murphy is very capable of playing well and certainly putting the ball into the box. I think that's the vital thing for us. We saw a much better approach on Wednesday night when, you know, Asula was making those centre-forward runs off the shoulder of defenders, causing them all sorts of problems. And, of course, Bruno found Asula with a lovely ball through, which Asula scored. I want to see more of that from Newcastle. You know, we haven't seen that necessarily in the Premier League games so far this season. What we've seen is it seems to be out wide. It's a very patient build-up, etc., but we haven't really got anywhere yet. Wednesday night, we really made a stamp on it by playing in Asula and getting goals that way. So for me, I want to see a bit more of that. Now, he did mention Jacob Ramsey as well. His recovery is going well. He's on the grass working hard and building his fitness back up. I think it will be after the international break that we see him. Anything before that, then he'll be ahead of schedule. I think Eddie was sort of aiming to the point that just maybe Jacob Ramsey might make it back before the international break. If he's on the pitch now and he's training, I think Eddie's quite confident of getting him back fit and well. But again, they won't take any chances on him, not that they have to or anything like that. I think they'll just be patient, wait till he gets fit, good and proper, so we don't bring him back and he gets injured again. Like I've just said earlier on in the show, I think that the way they manage injuries now has been a lot better. Has been much, much better of late. And I think that's a lot to do with Bunce coming in and, of course, learning from previous mistakes in previous seasons. Of course, 2 years ago in the Champions League, lots of mistakes were made with injuries there. So I definitely think that a lot's been learned over that period of time. Now, incidentally, he was asked about Volta as well. And does he see him as a 9 or a 10? And Eddie said, well, I don't see him as a 10 because we don't play that way. So that kind of, for me, that comment there sort of writes off anything that, you know, we've been saying we want to see a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4 this. And that, it's not going to happen, guys. As far as I'm concerned, what Eddie said there was basically saying we play a certain way and we're not going to change that way. So Nick Volta is not number 10 for him because he doesn't play that way. He sees him as a number 9. And he said that. He sees him as a 9, but a 9 who can offer a bit more. Now, what I did pick up, and I don't know whether this is just me, but listen, I did pick it up. If you heard the press conference, let me know as well. Because what he said was, he's a very different number 9 to what we've already had at the club. He then mentioned Callum Wilson. He said, he's very, very different from the way Callum played, but did not mention the Rat. He didn't mention him at all. And I thought that was really, really interesting and sort of gives to me, without saying anything, exactly what Eddie Howe thinks of Alexander Isak right now. The fact that he didn't mention him in that quote, because he could have got on to say, he's different from the way Alexander Isak played. He's different from the way Callum Wilson played. He's very different to what we've had. But he did not mention him at all. He just mentioned Wilson. And I thought that was fascinating and gave me an insight just to think, right, this guy, he's an arse. And I'm not even going to bring him up in conversation. I thought that was fantastic and probably very deliberate. Mark with the super chat says, morning, Paul, TTR family. I want to know who the set piece coach is caused. He needs to pull his finger out of his arse before Sunday, as Arsenal are good at set pieces. Well, I'm sure, listen, I'm pretty sure that, Eddie is fully aware of the power that Arsenal have from set pieces. Let's not beat around the bush here. They are fantastic with corners, etc. And it will be something that we need to really defend well. But at the other end of the pitch, we need to improve on our set pieces. There is no doubt about that. The set pieces have been really, really poor. There's been no... You know what? Me and Billy were joking about it during commentary on Wednesday night. When we got a corner on a free kick on the edge of the box, we just did not get excited because we can't at the minute. There's nothing telling me that anything is improving on the set piece side of things. It's just, there's nothing there. And you know what? I find it really, really annoying that we've had a set piece coach in since June and we haven't seen anything different. We're not mixing it up. How on earth can we, let's take Livermento's throws, okay? Let's take those throw-ins. We sorted Bournemouth, right? You've got Volta, Botman and Chow all lined up in a 3 on the edge of the 6-yard box waiting for the throw. And we had about 4 or 5 of these on Sunday, so it's not like it was just 1 or 2. And Livermento would deliver the ball. None of them would win the header. None of them. And the size we've got in that penalty area, it still is absolutely baffling to me how we do not score more goals on set pieces. I just don't get it. And you know what? I mean, Eddie wasn't particularly... he wasn't particularly asked about set pieces. He was asked about the goal kick, the kickoff, and what his opinions were of this, long, Bournemouth kicked it straight to Nick Pope the other day. Toon Army kicked it into the corner, and he didn't really go into much of it. He said there's far too much for the rest of the game to talk about this kind of thing, and so I don't know who's come up with that idea, whether it's the players themselves or whether it's something that the plan. Certainly, as Eddie said, against Bradford, they took a short one. So it may just differ from opposition to opposition. But as for the set pieces, I find it staggering that, when the ball goes out and you get that roar from the crowd for a corner. And it's like, oh, yeah, well done, come on. And what happens? The last good set piece we took was in the Carabao Cup final when Dan Burn scored. It's just nothing to get excited about at the minute. So I understand where fans are coming from when they ask the question about who is this set piece coach? What is he actually doing? But nobody seems to sit in those press conferences and ask Eddie Howe. Now, Ollie says it's the delivery, it's crap. Well, is it a mixture of both? Are the deliveries poor or is the movement poor? But surely that is something that they have to work on in the training ground environment. Practice until you start getting success. Try mixing it up a bit. How many times do we see our corners just floated to the back post every time. And any opposition manager watching Newcastle United with set pieces will see exactly what we're all about. It mainly goes to the back post, if we can clear the first man, that is, by the way. But then on the free kicks, if we get a free kick around the halfway line, it's punted up straight to the D on the edge of the box, looking for a Dan Burn flick on or whatever, and it's cleared away 99.9% of the time. So I do want to see something different. I want to see something different on Sunday, but whether we get that, I don't know. Have we got the players capable of taking good set pieces? Yes, we have. We know for a fact that Sandro Tonali can take a set piece because he did it before he signed for Newcastle. We watched him in the Euros under 23s competition, and every free kick and corner he put in was on the mark. And then he comes to Newcastle United and he doesn't get a look in for set pieces. Now, he did take one against Bournemouth, which was terrible. But then again, what is he trying to do? What is the set piece routine that we're trying to do here? Does it fit with what the players want? I don't know. But I think Trippier's got to come off them for me. Listen, Trippier's been awesome for us, and I'm not going to slam the guy, but his set pieces are bullshit, man. They are terrible. And people have to be honest here. And, anybody that knows me on this channel knows that I don't blow smoke up people's asses for the sake of it. I'll say what I think, and that's my right. And I think Trippier needs to come off set pieces, whether you agree with me or not, but we do. It has to be somebody else, because Trippier has had, for me, he's had ample enough time now with these set pieces. He's had way enough time now, and it's still not working. He's still struggling to find a man. He's struggling to hit the first man. And it gets frustrating after a while, and it's frustrating now. And now is the time that I think Trippier needs to come off the set pieces, and we need to try something very, very different. But we'll see if it happens, because I don't know if it will or not. That's down to whatever is going on the training pitch. Now, Eddie did want to talk a little bit about Anthony Gordon. He was asked about what it's like to have him back. Obviously played against Barcelona, but it was in the middle, kind of sandwiched into his suspension. So, he wasn't up to match speed, etc. He said it's a big boost for us to have him back fully. He can really focus on the few games we have ahead of the next international break. I thought he was excellent against Bradford. He is a player that rises to the occasion, and we are going to need everyone to do that on Sunday. Now, rising to the occasion, yes, absolutely. But he needs to be sure that he doesn't overcompensate for that passion and that aggression that he's got, the fire in his belly. We saw it against Liverpool. He was sent off. But I think that's a massive learning curve for Anthony Gordon not to do that again. He will be on the left on Sunday. I have no doubt that Volta will start the game as the centre forward, and we'll see Gordon back in his usual left-hand side position, which I've said for a while now, that I just think he needs a run of games in that position. He needs a good run of games in the left position to get himself back up to speed, to get himself back familiar with that position, instead of being moved into the middle and then moved out wide again. Give him a run on the left, and I'm sure we'll get to see the best of Anthony Gordon again. He's had a lot of criticism because not many fans think he's up to speed yet, and I think Eddie is giving him praise there. Yes, he was good against Bradford, absolutely, but he wasn't brilliant. And you expect players like Anthony Gordon to really stand out in games like that and really show the class. And although he worked hard, he was good, he wasn't at his pinnacle. And we know there's a lot more to come from Anthony Gordon. And I think we'll see that once he gets a run in the side. But he needs to start putting the ball in the back of the net as well. And I really genuinely think that a goal, either on Sunday or when that goal eventually comes for Anthony Gordon, that will be a kickstarter for him, and we can see him get better and better and better. And hopefully the criticism that he does receive is going to die down. Some people think he's not all that. That he's just a sort of, I don't know, a flash in the pan kind of thing. I don't necessarily believe that. I think there is a player in there, but I do believe he needs to get confident again, because Matt said there, he's a confidence player. Most wingers are. Most wingers are confidence players, guys. When the confidence is red hot, They think they can beat anybody. They think they can take the world on. And that's when you get the very, very best out of your winger. When the confidence is low, they don't feel like they can take players on. They feel like everything they're trying isn't coming off. And that's when, they do struggle. But I genuinely think Anthony Gordon, once he gets his confidence going back on that left-hand side, we'll see a big, big difference. And we'll see lots of deliveries into the box, certainly for Volta. And I think Volta will certainly appreciate that, and his goal tally will go up because of that. So let's just keep fingers crossed that we do start seeing the very best of Anthony Gordon again, because, it's been a while. Now, on Volta, we said there he was asked about his position and things like that, and he said he sees him as a 9. Other strikers plays differently, but didn't mention, of course, the Rat. He only mentioned Wilson in that comment. I was really impressed with him the short time he had on Wednesday. He showed his creative flair. His creative flair is something that's caught the eye of everybody, of absolutely everybody. This guy, the way he controls the ball, the way he just nurtures it, he just caresses the ball. It's fantastic to watch. If you look, especially against Bournemouth, the ball was coming down from an incredible height, yet he just brings it down deftly for such a big man, and then he holds the ball. He's got 2 or 3 players around him, yet he holds them off, and that's when he can bring our midfielders into play. And I think that'll be an important thing for us on Sunday, because we need the midfielders to get forward again. He mentioned Joe Linton's goals, and has that been a training thing? And then Spike says Paul must be having problems. I don't know what that is. Can everybody hear me okay? Is it my mic or something like that? I don't know. Unless he's not talking about me. I don't know what that is. Anyway, what I want to see from Volta is, again, maybe not coming so deep for the ball. Maybe just getting forward a little bit more to get on the end of crosses, because that's what we all want to see from Volta. Murphy put a beautiful ball in for him against Wolves. Bang, in the back of the net. The rest is history. But I do think that he's absolutely a superb footballer. And we are going to see a lot from Volta, especially once he gets up fully fit, fully running, and the engine is running. At the minute, he's still getting used to the pace of the Premier League, etc., etc. And that's when, you find out about a player. You find out what they're all about. And Volta is giving it his all. And I really genuinely think we've got an incredible player there. And once our wingers get up to speed, I think it's all going to fall into place very nicely. But we have to be patient. But what we don't want to see, and what really rattles us when it comes to being patient, is seeing players not perform, take the foot off the gas. There is a couple of players still in that squad who, for me, are falling away now, and are certainly not going to be in Eddie's plans for any Premier League action anytime soon. So I don't know. And finally, he said something regarding Will Asula. Now, Will Asula was excellent on Wednesday night, wasn't he? He says he did a lot of hard work, individual work last season, focused on all aspects of his game. He is here and he has done well. He had an excellent performance on Wednesday, 2 brilliant goals, and it could have been more. Missed a huge opportunity for a hat-trick. Huge opportunity for a hat-trick. Brilliant ball in from Barnes. And, I mean, the header, I think Billy called it in commentary. It was like it hit the 50-pence head. You just didn't know which direction it was going in, and he fluffed it completely. However, strikers are going to miss chances. That's just the name of the game. They're going to miss opportunities. However, he scored 2 goals as well, and that's the thing for me. He's getting in there. He's getting in there, and he's trying. Now, look, he couldn't win on Wednesday night, because even if he bagged a hat-trick, people would say that's his level. I'm yet to be convinced, I have to say, I'm yet to be convinced that Will Asula is a Premier League player. And I'm not being harsh on him. I'm just going off what I've seen of him in the Premier League. Is there a chance he can make it? 100% there is, if Eddie keeps guiding him. But for me, there is a reason why he was nearly sold in the summer. Because I think that the coaching staff maybe don't think he's good enough. But all Will Asula can do is, every time he gets an opportunity, is take it. And he took it on Wednesday. He was excellent. So, we'll see how he does. But I'm yet to be convinced he's a Premier League player. A lot of people saying that Elanga isn't up to it. I'm not sure. Listen, we need to give Elanga is overrated. I don't necessarily agree with that. Look, he's got pace to burn. He's been unlucky, as Eddie said in his press conferences, that he hasn't got an assist yet. He should have had a couple of assists had the players in the penalty area put the ball in the back of the net. And it's not, it's not necessarily Elanga's fault. I wanted to see more from him on Wednesday night. I've got to be honest. Wednesday night, I expected to see more, but we didn't. And that's disappointing. So I still think, as Ian says there, the jury is still out. Without a doubt, there is. But all Elanga can do is get his head down and keep working. Mark with another super chat says, since Gordon has grown his mop, he's gone downhill. I think the hairband is squashing his brain cells and he's forgotten how to be a top winger. I get where you're going with that. It's a little bit of sarcasm in there. But listen, whatever his haircut, whatever his hairband, I'm sure he's got a nice endorsement for his hairbands. Let's be honest. Most players do. If they wear a hairband like that, they're endorsed in chunks of that. However, look, I don't care. I don't care if he was bald. I don't care if he was wearing dreadlocks. I just want him to perform on the pitch. And I think anybody that watches us will get. Gordon is an exciting player when he's right at the top of his game. But we haven't seen that for quite some time now. We haven't seen him at the very top of his game for quite some time. So I just believe a run on the left-hand side, and we'll definitely see that. Now then, in other news, guys, Tim Krul, who, of course, spent a long, long time with Newcastle United before moving on, hasn't really played much over the last couple of years at Luton, has decided to announce his retirement. Now, interestingly enough, he was also asked about what the possibilities of a return to Newcastle were. Now, this certainly not in a playing capacity, although he probably would have helped our Champions League squad being a homegrown talent. But that's well and truly gone now because, of course, he's retired. But he was asked about a return as a possibility of coming back as a goalkeeper coach and spending some more time at the club. And he certainly didn't rule that out. He said, in football, you never know. Newcastle United is a very, very special club to me. And to be back there in some capacity would be absolutely fantastic. So I would love that. I think, Tim Krul, now retired, he's certainly not going to be short of options. I think he's, whether he goes into the media or he wants to stay in football on a coaching level. I would absolutely love to see Tim Krul come to the club in some capacity, just like former players. You think that not because he's been at the club for a long time, and I think he deserves it. That would be a little bit silly. But I do think he's got something to offer because of the experience he's got. As a coach, you want a coach there who's been there and done it and knows his stuff. And Tim Krul certainly knows his stuff. He's been there, he's done it, he's worn the T-shirt many, many times. And if there is an opportunity to come back as a coach sometime in the future, then do it. Then do it. But you know what? And I've just seen this in the comments as well. The fact that, Gillespie's there, surely, who would you rather have at the club, Gillespie or Krul? And I would still, Tim Krul, a million times over Mark Gillespie. Mark Gillespie does not bring, as far as I'm concerned, and listen, I don't know Mark Gillespie. He could be the most wonderful person in the world. I'm talking on a football basis here, right? Mark Gillespie brings nothing to this football team, right? Nothing. I don't care what, people say, oh, he's good in the dressing room, he's this and that. But if you've got a Gillespie or a Tim Krul, who would you rather have kicking around the squad and in the dressing room? Tim Krul, every single time. No doubt about it. No doubt about it in my mind. Tim Krul would be the man that you want in there rather than Mark Gillespie. And I'm talking purely on a football basis here. But, there's no space for him at the minute, but we'll see what happens in the future. We wish Tim Krul all the best anyway with what he does decide to do in the future. Now then, Another one is Elliot Anderson. Now, Elliot Anderson was sold because of PSR. We know all the rigmarole that went on, that we had to sell him and also Minter to Brighton. Now, there's a report out this morning. Now, bear in mind, I did say that I was going to bring out the ridiculous reports as well on a breakfast show, because we'll look at them all and have a good laugh at some of the stories. This is from the Boot Room, by the way. And the Boot Room have reported that Newcastle United are now keeping tabs on 22-year-old Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson. It explains all the rigmarole about PSR and how we had to sell them, but it's also understood that Liverpool are keeping an eye on him as well. Now, listen, I'd be pissed to the highest heavens if he goes to Liverpool in the future. I really will. Would I blame Elliot Anderson for going there? No, because obviously he would see Liverpool as a really good move to try and win things. But by the time Forest could possibly sell Anderson, we could be right up there battling with the likes of the Liverpools and the Man Cities, etc., the Arsenals, if things go to how we want to go. So you never know what happens in 2 to 3 years' time, that there is an opportunity to sign Elliot Anderson and we can go against the best. Now, if you're asking me, if Liverpool and Newcastle came in for Elliot Anderson in the future, who would he choose? I think he chooses Newcastle every time. I think it's another Alan Shearer. If you remember, Shearer had a chance to go to Manchester United and win all this sort of stuff. No, he wanted to go back to his boyhood club. And I think Elliot Anderson would do exactly the same thing as Alan Shearer did. We saw Elliot Anderson in the crowd when Newcastle won the Carabao Cup. He was celebrating with his dad and with the fans and with the players. The players were waving at him. He's still a big Newcastle United fan, and that will never go away. So I think if we did go in for Anderson in the future, I think he would turn everybody else down to come back home. And I may be wrong in saying that, but look, I genuinely think Elliot Anderson would come back, but he's going to cost an awful lot of money in the future. He's 22-year-old now. He's an England international now. He's getting plaudits for the way he's playing, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe for Forest. This kid's got everything, guys, and it's going to take a whole war chest to try and get him back in maybe 2 to 3 years. But I think we'd all have him back in a heartbeat now. Certainly, if Eddie Howe is still at the club, he would certainly have Elliot Anderson back in a heartbeat as well. So we have to hope and pray, guys. That's all we can do is hope and pray that maybe he wants to come back in the future and we can sign him. But you know what? I don't know. I think it's going to take well in excess of 80 million plus. If he keeps going the way he's going now, far too much money. But we'll see. But that's it for this morning, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. The breakfast shows are back. They are going to be at 10 a.m. every morning. We're going to look through all the news that's come out for Newcastle United every morning, because there is reports every morning, as crazy as some of them are. But that's what we're going to do in the breakfast show. We're going to look at all the crazy reports as well and have a good laugh at them and see which ones could actually be true or which ones are just absolute bollocks. So we'll be picking them out. We'll be having a laugh with that every morning on the breakfast show. So 10 a.m. Breakfast Tyne on the Toon Review. We'll be back officially from Monday, and we'll keep them going because we've had some good feedback on them. Everyone seems to enjoy them, whether it's watching live or later on in the day. So thank you so much. Do drop a like and please do subscribe if you're new around here and you like what you see. Help us build the channel, because the more we can build, the more shows we can do for you, and the better the production can be. And of course, keep voting for us in those Football Content Awards finals, guys. All the information is right at the top of the description of the show, along with the link. Please keep going. We really, really feel like we've got an opportunity this year, but it is down to you. We'll be back at 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you again at 7 o'clock. Take care.
Come back and check out the breeze.